Friends, one of the matters in the societal domain that figure prominently in the public discourse relate to the constitutional ideal of India being a secular republic having a composite culture. The former expression is in the preamble and the latter in Article 51AF. Any discussion of these constitutional values has to be premised on the existential reality of our society. It is characterized by heterogeneity. A population of 1.3 billion, comprising of over 4,635 communities, 78% of whom are not only linguistic and cultural, but social categories. Religious minorities constitute 19.4% of the total. The poet Pandit Kailash Narayan Kaul, also known as Bedil Dehlavi, expressed it finely in a couplet. Ilahi lutf kya aata jo sab मैखार ही होते तेरी दुनिया की रौनक बढ़ गई शेखो बरामन से. Our democratic polity and its secular state structure was put in place in full awareness of this plurality. There was no suggestion to erase identities and homogenize them. Political scientists and sociologists have written a good deal on the Indian perception of secularism. The three generally accepted characteristics of a secular state, namely liberty to practice religion, equality between religions as far as state practice is concerned, and neutrality or a fence of separation between the state and religion, have been invoked, but their application has been contradictory and has led to major anomalies. Commenting on the debate on secularism, Professor Amartya Sen has observed that secularism is basically a demand for symmetric political treatment of different religious communities, but that leaves open the choice between the forms that symmetry can legitimately take. He added that there is a real difference between achieving symmetry through the sum total of collective intolerances of the different communities, rather than through the union of their respective tolerances. Very recently, Shri Soli Sorabji has reminded us of the Emmanuel versus the state of Kerala case and of Justice Chinnappa Reddy's remark on the subject of tolerance. The challenge then is to reduce, if not eliminate, anomalies. This leads us to the question, how has the Indian state, in principle and practice, given shape to the essential ingredients of the secular principle and composite culture? Apart from the principles enshrined in the constitutional text and policy pronouncements of public figures, often nuanced to suit the occasion, judicial pronouncements shed useful light on the matter. The basic structured doctrine relating to our Constitution is now settled law. One of its ingredients is secularism. This is accepted in principle by most segments of opinion, barring advocates of some version of theocracy. It is more than a passive attitude to religious tolerance. It is a positive concept of equal treatment. Its most emphatic assertion in a pronouncement came in a set of judgments in the Bomai case. And allow me to quote, Secularism has both positive and negative concepts. The Constitution struck a balance between temporal parts, confining it to the person professing a particular religious faith or belief, and allows him to practice, profess and propagate his religion subject to public order, morality, and health. The positive part of secularism has been entrusted to the state to regulate by law or by an executive order. The state is prohibited to patronize any particular religion as state religion and is enjoined to observe neutrality. The state strikes a balance to ensure an atmosphere of full faith and confidence amongst its people to realize full growth of personality and to make him a rational being on secular lines to improve individual excellence, regional growth, progress, and national integrity. Religious tolerance and fraternity are basic features and postulates of the Constitution as a scheme for national integration and sectional or religious unity. Programs or principles evolved by political parties based on religion amount to recognizing religion as part of the political governance which the Constitution expressly forbids. It violates the basic feature of the Constitution. Positive secularism negates such a policy, and any action in furtherance thereof would be violative of the basic features of the Constitution. End of quote. The principle so laid down is emphatic. Despite its clarity, however, different interpretations were placed on it, and there is no real consensus within the court on what secularism entails. It has been opined that the court said, it has been opined that what the court said is different from what the court did. Observers have noted that subsequent pronouncements of the Supreme Court have effectively vindicated the profoundly anti-secular vision of secularism of some quarters. For this reason, it has been argued whether a more complete separation of religion and politics might not better serve Indian democracy. The difficulty lies in delineating, for purposes of public policy and practice, the line that separates them from religion. For this, religion per se and each individual religion figuring in the discourse has to be defined in terms of its stated tenets. The way of life argument used in philosophical texts and some judicial pronouncements does not help the process of identifying common principles of equity in a multi-religious society. Since a wall of separation is not possible under Indian conditions, the challenge is to develop a formula for equidistance and minimum involvement. For this purpose, the principles of faith need to be segregated from the contours of culture, since a conflation of the two obfuscates the boundaries of both and creates space for equivocalness. Furthermore, such an argument could be availed of by other faiths in the land, since all claim a cultural sphere and a historical justification for it. Within this ambit, but distinct from it, is the constitutional principle of equality of status and opportunity amplified through Articles 14, 15, and 16. This equality has to be substantive rather than merely formal, and has to be given shape through requisite measures of affirmative action needed in each case, so that the journey on the path to development has a common starting point. The Kundu report on the Diversity Index in the year 2008 has drawn attention to the inequality traps that prevent the marginalized and work in favor of dominant groups in a society. And it concluded that unequal economic opportunities leads to unequal outcomes, which in turn lead to unequal access to political power. This creates a vicious circle, since unequal power structures determine the nature and functioning of the institutions and their policies. All these result in persistence of initial conditions. Ladies and gentlemen, the same absence of homogeneity holds good for composite culture. The freedom movement recognized this existential reality of immense diversity on the ground. The Bumai judgment said that, and I quote, "This cultural heritage in India shaped the people of all religious faiths living in different parts of the country are to tolerate each other's religious faiths or beliefs, and each religion made its contribution to enrich the composite Indian culture as a happy blend or synthesis." End of quote. Thus, secularism and composite culture are two sides of the same coin.